StarCitizen is, ultimately, Sea of Thieves in space. And that's how I pitched StarCitizen to my friends during July 2022's free trial period. I produced a PowerPoint and rehearsed a speech. I shared GIFs of Halo CE's The Silent Cartographer and Star Wars Rogue One's hyperspace entry scene, trying to attach visuals to expectations. I proposed a gorgeous game full of space and time to entertain each other through misadventures, much like Sea of Thieves. They're both cooperative open-world adventure games. They both involve traveling on ships in hostile environments. They accommodate parties of players playing in a shared instance, and they both offer similar varieties of adventures: PvE and PvP bounty hunting, exploration, search and rescue, mining or treasure hunting, trading, and piracy. Sea of Thieves and StarCitizen both largely follow the same fun formula. Gather your friends onto a ship, pick, prepare for, and navigate to the quest, find the treasure, bounty, or target, overcome the challenges and conflicts together, and return safely to celebrate and collect your rewards. StarCitizen was, perhaps, the game for our regularly larger than 4-persons group to enjoy together.
I'm trying to hold the door open. It's just drinking water.
Still technically in alpha, I cautioned of complications and pleaded for patience. I stressed installing on solid-state drives. I offered to shepherd everyone through what I imagined would be a clumsy, buggy, or complicated experience. I bought, with real money, an appropriate ship to entertain us all, the Drake Cutlass Black.
What a piece of junk!
I consumed dozens of guides and hours of tutorials preparing to shepherd my friends through StarCitizen, the game. 10 hours deep, we had accomplished nothing in a game 10 years in development.
Come out of the ship, I'm gonna drop some juice. Get your juice.
Oh, it was there for a second.
Fuck! Why is this so difficult? I just want to give someone. I have one more juice. You have to like pick it up as soon as it lands.
I will try.
There it is.
Get it.
Yeah, no.
It's gone.
No.
I was like, I was clicking it, but I was too far away, and then when I moved in, I couldn't get it.
StarCitizen feels closer to a dream, a grand dream, 10 years in development. The dream of StarCitizen isn't possible through traditional PC gaming publishers. It's too high risk. It's also not possible through traditional independent studios. It's too technically demanding. Crowdfunded development bridges that gap, a studio willing to produce what funders demand, even if risky or technically demanding. But with public crowdfunding comes scope creep. StarCitizen is no longer just Sea of Thieves in space.
Is there really even an up in space?
StarCitizen's goals now include live economies, persistent and unified server meshes, and interactivity never attempted before. A super game offering everything to everyone in every way. A super game that goes beyond traditional development cycles. StarCitizen is the bleeding edge of software development, advanced server technology and physicalization functions. The ultimate goal of in-game persistence, only one loading screen, and minimal server spaces hosting maximum player counts. Such grand dreams and super games cannot follow traditional development cycles. Red Dead Redemption 2, a grand game but ultimately just a refinement of older game dreams and produced in a traditional development cycle, took 8 years. That's close to StarCitizen's now decade plus. Whereas we've only had access and knowledge 2 years before Red Dead Redemption 2's launch, we've held intimate access to StarCitizen since conception. Considering StarCitizen's grand ambitions, a decade isn't necessarily too long. Patience may run thin because, perhaps, we've been aware and playing with various drafts for a decade. And although many features aren't done, many are very close due to the highly parallelized development. Only a few of those parallelized prongs make up Sea of Thieves in space. And right now, I just want Sea of Thieves in space. I want the studio, Cloud Imperium Games, to halt the other parallelized prongs and focus on finishing and polishing my parallelized prongs. But I'm only one backer. Plenty other backers want those other parallelized prongs, and plenty others have funded more than me. So, I'm content to wait, knowing that once finished, I'll have a smorgasbord of content I wasn't originally asking for. But although I'm willing to wait, I'm not willing to wait terribly too much longer. A decade plus into development, and very core features and content are perpetually broken or needlessly complicated. Our dozen hours into a game, a decade into development, was plagued with broken features or complicated content at every literal step. Server meshing technology, the cutting-edge feature, is excusably and sympathetically late. Broken elevators and needlessly complicated bottled water is not. To CIG's credit, they've become incredibly transparent with their development timeline. I believe in and see evidence of the dream of StarCitizen coming to fruition. The 3.18 patch itself is a substantial slate of deliverables. Like Chris Roberts, I want Freelancer's true potential realized. But I feel StarCitizen's realization could have happened a lot sooner had CIG not made things so needlessly complicated for themselves. Grand dreams and super games don't have to be so needlessly complicated to be fun. Sea of Thieves keeps fun simple. No needless complications. Sea of Thieves' beauty lies in its simplicity. Complex adventures and complicated fun can stem from a series of simple premises. Gathering friends is simple. Players join in a lobby before loading onto an island together, and boarding your party's ship only requires a simple jump. Picking, preparing for, and navigating to quests too is simple. One player proposes a quest, the others vote. The important tools, quest books and maps, are clear, concise, and consistent between all players. The quests present clues and puzzles left to the player's interpretation. Fun debates ensue, and it all feels like an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, it's right there. Stop. It's straight south of us.
Ah,
Like, really close.
it's really close. Hell yeah.
Clues are clever enough to cause doubt, but are always presented clearly. Finding the quest's treasure, bounty, target, or quarry, too, works well thanks to simplicity. Sailing is interactive and cooperative fun, with roles for all. Sails, steering, scouting, and shouting.
I can't see.
Dropped anchor.
No, Tyler,
Tyler,
All necessary tools are available either up front or with minimal hassle. Lanterns for light, shelvers for digging, spyglass for looking, and weapons for defending. Overcoming the challenges and conflicts of the quest with everyone sailing, steering, scouting, and shouting is where Sea of Thieves shines. The variety of simple controls and clear functions affords players the proper space, time, and challenges to overcome together. Sea of Thieves' challenges are in communication, coordination, and decision-making, not troubleshooting broken controls or struggling to interpret functionality. You're never fighting against Sea of Thieves programming. Returning safely to celebrate and collect your rewards shines here too, thanks to intrinsically simple inventory systems. Pick up boxes and place them on the ship. Simple controls, simple functions. Open other boxes and place special items inside. Simple controls, simple functions.
we have like the 3 gems to become Adult Link.
Equip other items to consume or offer to others. Simple controls, simple functions. Equip a mug, fill it up, drink, puke, repeat.
Check out this bird I got, yo.
Sea of Thieves isn't shallow.
Oh god.
Each simply programmed premise is subject to a wide variety of complications, deviations, additional hurdles, or pitfalls. A string of simply programmed premises can result in a complicated, rich, and fulfilling adventure. Although I'd argue Sea of Thieves would benefit from additional functions, tools, mechanics, and toys, The bedrock of adventure is solid, reliable, and repeatedly fun. Fun because it's not needlessly complicated. And I hold beautiful and fond memories from playing Sea of Thieves with my wife, siblings, and friends. Sea of Thieves adventures are fully realized at every step. Whereas I hold beautiful and fond memories with friends and loved ones from Sea of Thieves, I'm still left with a sour taste but beautiful dreams of StarCitizen. The time, sweat, and money I invested trying to serve as StarCitizen Sherpa wasn't rewarding. None of our adventures were ever fully realized.
So I jumped out of the ship on accident.
Are you dead?
Yep.
Oh.
My difficulties trying to guide friends through StarCitizen began immediately. Gathering the friends together was needlessly complicated. Like Sea of Thieves, you can party up before joining server instances. Unlike Sea of Thieves, the party join doesn't reliably work.
There, now I'm joining you.
Yeah, my game is now crashing.
After troubleshooting, joining a friend already instanced one by one worked better, although it took much longer.
Hey, what's up, Andrew? It labels you.
Like Sea of Thieves, after directing friends to the same starter planet, we did spawn together, eventually. Unlike Sea of Thieves, gathering friends provided insurmountably difficult. The elevators either didn't render, spawn, or even function correctly for everybody.
Worried there, my sound cut out for a second.
Okay, this is space.
Into the void.
Void.
I just left my room.
Okay, go find the elevator. It's in the middle.
There it is.
And take it to the left.
Oh, and it just goes straight down. And there's no...
It's fine. It's fine. The elevator's just gonna load. Like the textures are gonna take a while to load.
Yeah.
You can see a little screen.
Nope, I'm falling.
You might just be in the elevator.
Well, my hands are up and I'm falling rather rapidly.
I actually want you to fall on my screen.
He fell through the elevator. Like my hands are up like I'm free falling.
Fuck.
Oh, I died.
Well, that's not a bad thing. You just spawn in the hospital, which is closer. I'm not kidding. Tell me what you're seeing.
I'm in a hospital bed.
Okay. Yep, I see you. Okay. There's another elevator that you have to take down.
Jesus Christ. Elevator simulator. I think I'm still in my hospital scrub. Yep.
I found you, you stupid bitch.
Where are you? Am I in my scrubs?
Yes, you're in your scrubs.
Oh, yes. Space
I can't
scrubs.
see your butt. Alright, please walk with me to this elevator. You have,
Oh, it's right in front of me.
You have extra clothes. Okay, what do you see in here?
No, just you.
Okay, thank God. Come on, elevator. Get in the elevator.
Oh, I'm falling.
Oh no!
He was in the elevator.
I just want to get in the ship and off the city. I can't do this anymore.
Shit.
Wait, I am... Oh god, I'm falling into the planet.
I'm just watching you, like, your distance increase.
This was the penultimate elevator.
Oh, I'm drowning.
Just because the textures haven't loaded doesn't mean the elevator hasn't loaded. Like, what kind of bullshit is that?
The planet's core.
I'm somehow miraculously not dead.
Well, now you're just stuck.
Press Q to shoot yourself.
Have fun, guys. I'm going to bed.
Elevators are too basic a function to be so broken a decade into development. They're also a needlessly complicated decision to install. Why can't we just spawn in on the first floor? Gathering the friends who made it past the needlessly complicated elevators, too, was difficult. For many of us, the player HUD icons didn't render immediately.
Yeah, I recognize you, Eddie. You're in. I can tell by your armor, but there's no, like...
Player HUD icons are too basic a function to be broken.
Oh, there you are. Yes.
a decade into development. For the rest of us, we all experienced random, intermittent server disconnects.
Please don't look at me, I will lag.
And once one of us lost connection, we often all had to leave the server so that we could rejoin together.
Oh no, my game crashed in an elevator.
Otherwise, we'd be stuck waiting, even if there was apparently spots open in the server.
I'm not even upset about dying, I'm upset about trying to rejoin that server.
And StarCitizen's cities are relatively labyrinthian, dense, and rely on signage to navigate. We have today GPS walking instructions and augmented reality. There's no need to make hub world navigation so needlessly complicated or difficult. Picking, preparing for, and navigating to the quests, too, proved needlessly complicated. Quests are kind of buried under menus, and quest descriptions or objectives themselves aren't always clear. You'll want a second monitor with a wiki, guide, or pre-written agenda while you figure out what quests to pick. Sharing quests with my party also didn't work every time. StarCitizen requires prior prep work before questing, and that's a design choice that I do agree with and admire. But purchasing the items from the stores was too often very broken, perhaps due to a needlessly complicated interactive kiosk and inventory system.
I don't know if it's
med pens, the red one?
Everything's bad, but...
Yeah, invalid location still.
So I need the red ones, you said? How
I don't
many?
know how to buy them.
Yeah, I got invalid location too.
Yeah, I can't buy anything. It's really weird.
I don't see why this couldn't be a traditional UI menu. I don't see why we need so many different types of inventory. Luckily, I bought plenty of everything for everyone beforehand. Unluckily, equipping, sharing, storing, and consuming these items proved needlessly complicated and consistently broken. Equipping clothing, weapons, and magazines is, admittedly, rather neat. I do enjoy the idea of what I'm working with, but it is needlessly complicated, and I would prefer a simpler system with clearer functions and more reliable usability. Whereas in Sea of Thieves, I could share my banana by equipping it and right-clicking. My food, water, clothing, armor, tools, and weapons all fell through not just my ship's hull floor, but through the hangar floor into oblivion.
I was hoping you could just rummage through my inventory.
Yeah.
Come out of the ship. I'm gonna drop some juice.
Oh, it was there for a second.
Fuck!
I will try.
There it is!
Get it.
Yeah, no.
It's gone.
Oh.
I want to stress this part perhaps the heaviest. 10 years into development, the persistent universe still doesn't have a simple player trade function. There is very little consistently reliable way to give another player something from your inventory. That's too basic a function to be broken or absent 10 years into development. Navigating to the quest will always prove more difficult in space traversal adventures. StarCitizen, though, it nails it. StarCitizen's most beautiful moments are, perhaps, entering or exiting hangars, controlled airspace, orbit, and quantum travel. It is seamless and fantastic proof of StarCitizen's ambitions slowly reaching realization. Whereas Sea of Thieves paints us beautiful, lively, colorful landscapes, StarCitizen renders for us through visual fidelity and breathtaking photorealism. But the primary navigational interface, the star map, is needlessly complicated. Items don't load reliably, and setting waypoints remains difficult. Whereas Sea of Thieves offers everyone roles setting sails, steering, scouting, and shouting directions, StarCitizen, at least with my multi-crew ship, doesn't. I, the Sherpa, was already burdened giving directions, maintaining inventories, and troubleshooting technical issues. I hoped to offload ship roles both to further entertain my friends and to offload my own burdens. Myself to pilot the ship, one friend to co-pilot, assisting with air traffic control, star map navigation, missiles, and shield faces, one man to handle the gun turret, and the rest to handle ground missions, landing directions, and cargo. CIG's intent for those co-pilot functions are there, but not fully implemented yet, 10 years later. Perhaps it works on other ships, but the Drake Cutlass Black's co-pilot functions remained either absent or bugged or broken. That's a tough $115 conclusion to swallow for a game 10 years in development. Additionally, the turret itself experienced minor bugs, and the various tools that might have been useful to the ground crew, the gun rack for example, didn't seem to be functional yet. So our time was spent overcoming not the challenges of the quest, but rather the challenges of non-working controls and needlessly complicated functionality. The shipwreck cargo retrieval mission started off brilliantly. Piloting the ships to a wreck was a beautiful spectacle. Opening the hatch, jumping out, and exploring via EVA was a surreal watch. Even better, everyone here had a role: find the dead ship's black box while in EVA. It was an extraordinarily scenic and initially fun experience, until it became apparent that there were no tools to help. No pirate maps, no Dragon Ball radar, no context clues, or even a picture beforehand of what the black box we were looking for looked like. After a prolonged and very manual search, without flashlight functionality for whatever reason, we abandoned it empty-handed, frustrated, and disappointed.
They set this on like Goose Chase. Oh, fuck. I'm actually getting motion sick.
Why couldn't we do the first mission as like a shit on a planet?
I don't know. I feel like I have to finish this now. Like, if I give up now,
I'm giving up now.
Sad.
The challenges presented in StarCitizen are through overcoming the programming, not the premises. The crime stats felt needlessly complicated or broken.
I don't see it on my screen.
I
So
have
maybe
it.
no.
This is crime. Something.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I'm still a crime boy.
An accident by one member resulted in a viral criminal stat for some of the rest of us.
My crime stat rating increased? From doing what? Buying water and dying?
We could no longer land to fix our ship or pay the fine to clear our name so that we could land to fix our ship.
There's a store, the planet we were just at.
That second monitor with wiki and forum pages out came in use heavily here, with guides to clearing our names. It meant, however, several long stretches of, hold on guys, I'll figure this out, I'll read the wiki.
Something called the crypto key, and then we can go to the space station and erase our history.
StarCitizen insists on a multifaceted player health, hunger, and hydration systems, amongst others. I enjoy the combat medic portions, but hunger and hydration feels needlessly complicated. In one instance, our team had a crime status, our ship needed repairs, and one of us desperately needed water. We landed on Grim Hexus for a space-themed pit stop. This is where the juice clips come in. The easiest immediate solution was to share some of my juice.
Come out of the ship, I'm gonna drop some juice.
But because StarCitizen doesn't have, 10 years later, a simple player trade
Oh,
function,
it was there for a second.
Fuck!
we had to gamble on dropping items to
Why is
trade.
it so difficult?
We lost those gambles.
One more juice, you have to like pick it up as soon as it lands.
I will try.
There it is!
Get it?
Yeah, no.
The next solution was to find a vendor that sold water. Because StarCitizen doesn't have, a decade later, maps, mini-maps, or Google-styled directions, they spent the majority of their precious few hydrated minutes left wandering and getting lost.
So if you go to the gun or armor store here, there's a shelf with water and food.
Okay, do you know where that's at?
No, but I just Googled it.
Elevators scare me. Oh, my game's lagged out.
Sandy, I need water.
Once they found the vendor that sold water, the next task was drinking the water in time. Because StarCitizen requires separate steps to buy the water, open the inventory, equip the water, remove your helmet, close the inventory, and then drink the water, my friend The one dying of dehydration died of dehydration.
And he's alive, he's buying water.
No, I just died. I had it in my hand.
Okay, I'm up.
Oh my god.
No, I'm
Wrong with these
incapacitated. I'm incapacitated.
I wish I could show you my screen.
What do I look like?
You're just face down on the ground holding a water bottle.
Although we had stim packs and med guns to revive him, we didn't have a way of curing his dehydration. Upon revival, you're given a modicum of time before becoming incapacitated again. We didn't trust that he, in this small window of time, could sufficiently open his inventory, wait for the inventory to load, re-equip the bottle of water, re-remove his helmet, drink the water, and cure his dehydration again in time. So our solution ended up being the longest, most convoluted option, corpse walking him all the way to the hospital with stim packs.
Oh, you stimmed him.
Ah!
He's alive.
I can't.
Oh no.
Let's get his body. We're gonna have to corpse.
Oh god. Like right here on this terminal, it says patient check.
No. I died. It's all over.
Oh, no,
One more
my
stim.
God.
I passed out.
One more
How do you
stim.
heal? I can loot them.
I'm back.
All right.
Alright.
Check yourself in right here.
He's just sliding on the
He hasn't stood up yet.
Guys, I passed out again.
I'm resin. We almost got out of there.
Which room is it? 3? This game is so clunky.
Ooh.
What slideshow that was.
There it is. It was complete. Fuck, I fell up.
What'd you do?
Andy, do you have
We didn't return home once with rewards or to celebrate. Return trips were bitter, silent, disappointing experiences, often with one of us disconnected or waiting in the hospital. Sea of Thieves' fun adventures can end in failure, and the time spent leading up to the failure is often enjoyable and worth everyone's time. Sometimes the failures are spectacularly fun in their own way.
No!
We got it. Don't worry. We're doing it.
In stark, bleak contrast, StarCitizen's adventures, in our time, always ended in failure, where the time spent leading up to the failure wasn't enjoyable either. It's all mostly troubleshooting and encouraging friends to stay with you. Perhaps I overhyped the state of StarCitizen. Perhaps I promised too much. Perhaps my presentations were off base. But I feel as though I gave StarCitizen the best possible chance to impress myself and my friends. I made sure everyone installed to a solid-state drive. I wrote an agenda for us that included planet spawns and quest options. I bought up front everything we would need for adventures. I bought up front the ship I believed would best host all of us. $115 later, 10 hours in, and a decade later, not one of these adventures were realized. StarCitizen is, in many ways, needlessly complicated. For some, adventures weren't realized because I couldn't get them past several needlessly complicated elevators in an environment where simple doors would have sufficed. For some, adventures weren't realized because of needlessly complicated vendor interactions and the absence of simple player-to-player trade functionality. Simple 2D UI elements would have sufficed. For some, adventures weren't realized because simple quest premises weren't supported by sufficient tools or clues for the players. Flashlights, Dragon Ball radars, and pictures of our target beforehand would have sufficed in our derelict space black box mission. For some, the adventures weren't realized because a supplementary health system, player hydration, was overly complicated and overly punishing. Simple vision, movement, and health pool handicaps would have sufficed. There's absolutely no need to place such a burden on players or remove them from their game. For some, the adventures weren't realized because various ship controls, the place that we do want complicated designs, still aren't fully implemented yet. Co-pilot air traffic control communications and co-pilot star map navigation controls would have sufficed. Our 3-day attempt at adventure in StarCitizen fell on its face. I felt like a failure. Most of my recorded footage is composed of me troubleshooting discussions and issuing apologies. For 2 of my friends, they never got past registration or the initial elevators far enough to join us. But we're all hooked. The ones who made it past the troublesome registration and initial elevator issues all saw the dream of StarCitizen. They all expressed interest in returning after major developments. Through trial and error, they laughed through every bug and unfairly difficult situation. We came out of StarCitizen not with loot, experience, or accomplishments, but ultimately with memories and funny stories. And that's a partial realization of StarCitizen's dream. The dream of StarCitizen isn't racking up XP and loot, it's creating memories with others. I've checked the subreddit daily since our free trial period. I've rewritten my agenda and identified grander goals for us the next time we play. I've watched even more dozens of hours of guides, and now I know how to handle all of the issues, save for the server troubles, we ran into prior. And since our last attempt 6 months ago, many of our specific issues we ran into, on paper again, might have been addressed. There are bug fixes for party launching, bug fixes for broken elevators, the ability to now purchase multiple food and drink items at once instead of one by one, a UI polish pass for the vendor kiosks, fixing the player's desyncing after reviving, fixes for the player corpse clipping and falling through surfaces after dying. They've seemed to have fixed an issue where the derelict items wouldn't spawn, preventing the completion of derelict missions. There are now bug fixes and changes for the viral crime stat applications, and allowances for level 1 and 2 crime statuses to land and pay fines. The introduction of what's called persistent entity streaming may solve the issue with our dropped items disappearing into the void.
So if you leave a ship, a can, or any kind of items in the world, it'll stay there.
The introduction of the cargo refactor systems will eventually allow the general purpose box idea to come to fruition. The introduction of a massive renderer update called Gen 12 might immediately improve performance, but definitely will improve performance significantly down the line, perhaps through Vulkan. And the star map, radar and local area maps, and the mini-maps are all supposedly very close to being redone. The 3.18 development news spiked my curiosity and reminded me that I've had all of this footage lying around since our last attempt. Depending on when I finish this video, 3.18 is either coming out soon or just came out. Perhaps during our next attempt, our adventures will finally be realized. And I recognize how dangerous a statement that is. Next time will be better is something we've all been saying for a decade now. But I cannot deny my feelings. I have become absolutely obsessed with the dream of StarCitizen. I hold confidence this can become the game for our regularly larger than 4-person friend group to play together. But let's hurry it up, guys, and keep it simple. There is absolutely no need to further complicate such simple functions and delay the game further.